with meteorologist Rich Segal. Rich, how are you doing this morning?
It's a good morning. It really is a good morning because we're seeing the first rains of the day. They started about 7:30, 8 o'clock this morning over Fayette County, and anytime we see rain on the radar in the weather office, we are jubilant.
Yes, so weather is on the horizon, rain is coming. What can you tell us about that first question that you prepared for us for this Monday Q&A?
Okay, so the first question is, hurricane season was forecast to be very active. Why hasn't it been? And we're talking more about the Atlantic Basin. We're talking about the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean, and the Gulf of Mexico. And I have a few graphics here that will explain that. So first of all, this is our tropical satellite going out into the Atlantic. I mean, you don't even see much cloud cover there. This is the current view. And it's really not only just the next 48 hours, but the next 7 days where we are looking at the potential for a very quiet Atlantic season. One of the reasons is, and we've talked about this before, it's the African dust that settles overhead. One of the things that the dust does is that it blocks out the sun, and so there is not as much warming in the oceans as possible, but that doesn't explain why it hasn't been, it's been so quiet in the Gulf, because there isn't as much of the dust in the Gulf. And here is what we're seeing. You see that there's a lot of that yellow shade off the coast of Africa. And those little blips that you see off the west coast of Africa, those are the Cape Verde Islands. And this is factoring into this lull in the Atlantic as well. So this is where the big plume for the Saharan dust is right now. But what's happening is that these tropical waves that originate off the coast of Africa and head through the ocean on towards the Caribbean, well, they're north of the Cape Verde Islands instead of south. The water temperatures north of the Cape Verde Islands are between 75 and 80, while temperatures south of the Cape Verde Islands are around 85 to 90. So you see the current track with the cooler water temperatures off the northern part of the west coast of Africa, while the normal track is with the warmer temperatures of 85 to 90 are south of the Cape Verde Islands. Ultimately, we expect that the lull will be gone at some point, but it's just going to take a little while. At least we are hurricane-free for the next week, maybe more. And this is the current view of the Saharan dust as it pertains to the Gulf and to Texas. It's just light amounts of dust that we're seeing right now here at 9:40 or thereabout on Monday morning.
And as you mentioned to me earlier on our previous Q&A, our hurricane season actually extends past summer, so it's important to not get ahead of ourselves and say there is not much action, but it's still a chance.
Yes, that's true. You know, the peak of the hurricane season is coming in September. September 10th is the day that we are expected to peak. Most of our tropical storms are, should be happening just about now, towards the mid to end of August on into the early to mid part of September. But of course, we are not experiencing that here, largely because of those two factors. There are other factors, but these are the main two. These factors are not pertaining to anything that's developing or going on in both the Eastern Pacific and the Central Pacific. The Eastern Pacific or the Central Pacific, because we had that one hurricane, now tropical storm Hone, that was menacing the Hawaiian coast with flash flooding and very strong gusty winds.
That's right.
But, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
but
go ahead.
It has been suggested that the second half of the Atlantic hurricane season may be a lot more active than forecasters first thought. So for now, we enjoy, I don't want to say we enjoy the lull because it doesn't give us much to talk about. So we're hoping for some increase in activity anytime soon.
At least some rain, right? That's what we want to see.
That's right.
So our third question, I think you were about to answer it with our Saharan dust graphic. Where did the dust go, and are we going to see it soon?
The peak of the dust season is middle of June to middle of August. Now, there'll still be some dust that will come off the coast of Africa, but it doesn't travel as far because it's less, there's less of it. And so there again, we look at the Gulf and we look at the state of Texas, and we're not seeing too much of that yellow shade. So for all practical purposes for us, the Saharan dust season is done.
Great. So we don't have to worry about those seasonal allergies or those respiratory problems when we're outside enjoying the sun.
At least not from the dust. There are other factors, but the dust should not be one of them.
Fourth, will we see lots of rain this football season?
We are talking about, I can only address the game that we have coming up on Saturday. It's Texas game day against Colorado State. Forecasts have been rather consistent for the last 3 days that there will be rain around the area on Saturday. Will it be raining at DKR? It might be at some point. It's not. If it were to happen, it wouldn't be an all-day rain. We're seeing most of the activity here over the next several days after the sun comes up for a little while in the morning, and then when we get into the heating of the day, we're looking at the increase in rain chances then. So our game day forecast for now, subject to change, will call for a partly cloudy sky and a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms on Saturday at 2:30. We should be in the lower 90s for our temperatures, dropping to around the upper 80s to around 90, with the potential that rain could continue into the late afternoon. But of course, it's 100, well, I earlier calculated this to 127 hours and 127 and a half hours. It's now less than that between now and the time we hit Saturday afternoon at 2:30. But we will be fine-tuning this forecast because we are the Longhorn Station.
Well, I don't know about you, but I believe that rain is good luck, and that might bring us a really good game.
My mom told me when I left St. Louis to come to Texas that rain was a good thing. It was a sign of luck. And I've never, ever doubted her for that.
Yep, I've heard when you get rain on your wedding day, it's a good sign. So I'm sure rain on our opening game is going to be amazing.
Yes, a win is a win if it's in the rain or if it's in the sun.
Yep, that's right. Now we're going to jump to our viewer-generated photos that we got submitted over the weekend. The first one is from Spicewood from Kathy McCall. This is a beautiful picture of the sunset, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, when we get some of these clouds to roll in during the late afternoon and evening, just like what the dust can do with fantastic sunsets and sunrises, these clouds afford us an opportunity to just see some spectacular colors. So, Kathy, thank you very much for this wonderful picture.
Now, this Lake Buchanan one was really interesting. Right next to that lighthouse is a very prominent lightning strike.
Yes, that was I guess over the weekend from Terry Jackson, and you know he caught that lightning strike at just the right time. Ooh, that's the second time I've hit the mic today. I'm going to move it.
So we have these beautiful pictures. Hopefully we get some more rain pictures if we do get that chance of rain tomorrow or over the weekend. Where can our viewers submit these questions that you shared with us today, as well as our photos? You
can send an email to reportit, REPORTIT, reportit at KXAN.com.
Perfect. And we are going to be doing this every Monday, like we always do, first warning weather questions with Mr. Rich Segal.
Now, we will be off next Monday.
Oh, we'll be off next Monday.
Because it's Labor Day.
That's true, that's true.
So some of us aren't working.
I don't think I am either.
All right.
Perfect. Well, thanks so much for joining me, Rich. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Same here.
Glad we got to talk about a little bit of rain.
Indeed.
Well, that's all we have for y'all today on our first warning weather Q&A with our meteorologist Rich Segal. Like you mentioned, we won't be here next Monday, but we will be the following. And we also have lots of other live streams available for you to watch this week at 9:30 a.m. Thanks for joining us. I'm Esmeralda Zamora, and this was KXAN Live.